Hello, everybody, and welcome again to another KFR movie review. Again, sans Glenn. He's just abandoned me this week, and I'm not a huge fan of it. But today, I am going to be talking about The Last Duel, which I just saw. It is directed by Ridley Scott, written by Nicole Holofcener, Ben Affleck and Matt Damon. They also wrote it, based upon the book by Eric Jaeger or Jaeger, depending on how he pronounces it. It stars Jodie Comer, Matt Damon, Adam Driver, Harriet Walter, and Ben Affleck, along with Alex Lothar, Martin Sakis, and a few others that you would probably recognize. So this tells the true story of a 14th century rape case. So, just be warned, rape is a main topic within this film. And the way Ridley Scott goes about this is that he also Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, and Nicole Holofcener, they wrote it in a way in 3 chapters from Matt Damon's point of view, from Adam Driver's point of view, and Jodie Comer's point of view, their characters, of course. And it's really a fascinating story. I read up on it before seeing the film. It's the case of Marguerite de Chargos. My French is terrible, so I apologize. Sir Jean de Cargos, and Jacques Legris. It's a fascinating case, honestly. And one of the few cases where it was, duels being a thing. 14th century law was crazy. Just crazy. Absolutely crazy. Fighting to the death because God would not let someone who was lying die? Not sure that's how it works. Given all the many, many innocent people that many governments have killed for murder, I'm not going to get into that, but yeah, a lot of innocent people. This is based on a true case, and it starts off with Matt Damon's character's point of view, Jean. That's all I'm going to say. I can't pronounce his last name. Jean, his point of view, and it kind of goes through the history of him and Adam Driver's friendship, and then meeting his wife, which is played by Jodie Comer, and then leading up to how he finds out about the rape. Then it gets into Adam Driver's Jacques, and goes off on that one. And then, of course, Jodie Comer's, and it's hard to talk about because it's essentially the same 45 minute to an hour story done 3 times from different perspectives, which is really cool. I really enjoyed that aspect. And it's just infuriating. Not due to any fault of the film, but it's just the story itself is infuriating. Of course, as we know, women were not treated well back then. But the interesting thing was to see how even in Matt Damon's point of view, it's something that, is seen through rose-colored glasses on his end, whereas he sees himself as a great husband. It's later revealed that he might not be a great husband. In fact, obviously has a temper. This is Ridley Scott's. This is Ridley Scott's best film in a long time. Let's see. So instead of The Martian, this is his best film, probably going back to Gladiator. Kingdom of Heaven, I don't remember too much, but Black Hawk Down, it's been a while since he's made a really great film. And this is just a fantastic film all around, from the sets, the acting, and everything. The length is probably the only thing I would say is a detriment to it, but it's also kind of needed to do the whole different sides of the same story aspect of it. So I understand why it's such a long film, but it does get kind of tiresome and repetitive with that aspect. But it was still really cool to see the same dialogue delivered 3 different ways. So it's a really interesting practice, or really interesting experiment in that sense. Taking the same scene, doing it 3 times, which we did all the time in film school. Not all the time, but in one specific class we did that. But I really enjoyed this. It's not something, I feel like it would have been more intense for me to watch had I not read up on the original, the true story, because, I knew the outcome going in. So stay away from any of the history if you want to go in completely blind. But it is a fascinating story, and I really don't have that much to say about it. It is a great period piece, great writing, fantastic acting all around, especially from Jodie Comer. The bad part about this being 3 sides of the same story is that Jodie Comer only gets the last act or so to really shine. The other time she's just kind of like a pawn in everyone else's story. So I think it would have been cool to take the whole story, which of course is the story of this woman who was raped and then stood up. It would have been interesting to see a longer film from her perspective, because she was a woman who, stood up against an attacker in a century in which to do that and have fate be decided by God, not to say that, God's not real, but let's be honest, he's not going to care about one random case in France in the 14th century. So just to stand up in which, you'll get the death penalty if fate decides that your husband die instead of the man who raped you. It's a crazy story. This is a very hard movie to talk about just because of the subject matter, and me being a man, I can't really add anything without sounding dumb or, like mansplaining. I don't want to be mansplaining this whole situation to people. But it's a great film overall. I highly suggest people check it out. Ridley Scott's best work in a long time. Matt Damon's best work in a long time. Adam Driver, part of this film, did just feel like an Adam Driver thirst trap. I know the internet is obsessed with him and all that. But there are definitely parts where I'm just like, they're trying to sell this movie to people on the internet who like the whole Adam Driver sexiness meme. It was just funny in that sense. But has great action sequences. It's very immersive in the world it builds in the 14th century France. So yeah, I highly suggest it. It is kind of Oscar baity, if I'm honest. Ben Affleck and Matt Damon teaming up again, even if it is with another writer. A period piece. A message about the strength of women and all that, and what they have to deal with, and standing up even in the face of humiliation and even death. It's a little Oscar baity in that sense, but it is really, really good. I can't stress that enough. So I'm going to give this a 4 out of 5. If you can see it in theaters, see it in theaters. Theaters, the big format always adds to the immersion of it. How do I end this without digging myself into a deeper hole than I probably already have? Go see it. Ben Affleck's really good at playing an asshole. Just gonna say that. So was Matt Damon. So was Adam Driver. Men are terrible. Go see The Last Duel. It's pretty good.